Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Uh, Today, let's continue our discussion on language. Last meeting, we already talked about the definitions of language. Language is a means of communication. Communication is interaction between people in order that they can do information exchange. And we already talked about the innateness hypothesis. We also talk about the concept of displacement here and there, now and then we also talk about the concept of onomatope versus arbitrariness. So I do really hope that you can get well informed with the concepts that we already talked about last meeting. And at the end of our discussion last meeting, I already underlined that language is primarily speech. In the discussions about communication, we already talked about there are oral communication, written communication, accompanied by non-verbal communication, right? And then when we are talking, when we are asking which type of communication, which media of language is that becomes the primary one, so I told you already that language is primarily speech. Written language, written communication happened later in the modern era. That is the reason why when you talk about language, when you want to discuss linguistics, whether you like it or not, you have to start from talking about language sounds. Okay. The branches of language sounds dealing with the branches of linguistics dealing with language sounds are phonetics and phonology. We are going to talk about phonology later after the mid-task. Before the mid-task, let's focus on phonetics. Okay, now let's start. What is phonetics, everybody? Phonetics is a discussion about the production, the transfer, and the perception of language sounds. What is phonetics? Phonetics is a discussion about the production. So you can see language sounds from, so I am producing something. Can you hear that? Can you listen to that? Yes. So the productions of language sounds is discussed in phonetics. And let me ask you, vous vous appelez comment? Do you get the point? Oh no. Because, so I am using the language which is not in your frequency. Okay. คุณชื่ออะไรครับ? So you still don't understand because I am using the language which is not there in your frequency. But if I ask you, for example, كيف حالك يا تلميذي? كيف حالك يا تلاميذ? I think some of you, or not all of you, get the point because you are in the same frequency with the language that I use. Of course, if I say, how are you, my students, I am sure that all of you do understand what I am producing. Okay? Yeah, we are going to talk about it later, what you call that, the frequency, blah, 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 blah. Now let's talk about the production. Let's come back to the definitions of phonetics. What is phonetics, everybody? Phonetics is a discussion about the production, the transfer, and the perceptions of language sounds. Okay. Yeah. The concept of frequency, blah, 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 is dealing with the transfer and the perception. but unfortunately, we do not have enough time to talk about the transfer and the perceptions of language sounds. Perhaps when you are going to Master of Linguistics later, so you can discuss what you call that, the matters about language transfer and language perception. And now I am telling you that our discussions before the mid-test is only focusing on production of language sounds. Although phonetic is not only dealing with the production, phonetic is dealing with the production, transfer, and perception. Actually, we should have already started with the idea, what is sound actually? Is it sound? Yes, it is sound. My name is Fauzi. Is it sound? Yes, it is sound. Is it a language sounds? No, it is not language sound. My name is Fauzi. Is it a language sound? Yes, it is. Is it a language sound? Yes. Is it a language sound? No. Okay? Language sound is only produced by the speech organs of human being. Come back to the discussions about the nature of language. Language is only used by human beings. And then what is sounds? What is language sound? What are language sounds? Language sounds are sounds produced by the speech organ of human being. Okay. Now, when we are talking about what you call that, speech sounds, we have to get well informed with the speech organs, involved in the production of language sounds. Okay, pay attention to me. I will produce an utterance. What is utterance, everybody? So language sounds produced in the oral communication. Once again, utterance is language sounds produced in the activity, in the actions of communication. Listen, I will produce an utterance. Are you ready? Yes. My name is Fauzi. It is an utterance in English. In Indonesian language, the idea is nama saya Fauzi. And in Arabic, the same idea is realized as Ismi Fauzi. Okay, pay attention. When you produce my name is Fauzi, can you see my speech organs are moving constantly? Okay. As well, when you produce nama saya Fauzi, so you see certain organs of my body, especially in this area, are moving, are having movement, are doing movement constantly. Okay, now let's talk about the parts of the speech organs involved in the production of language sounds. Okay, what do you call this? Okay, lips. So when someone produces a language sounds, so the lips are usually involved. I mean, some right? Because two, right? Some of the speech organs involved in the production of language sounds are lips. Okay. Two, the upper lip and lower lip. Okay. Once again, what the organs involved? See, my name is Fauzi, lips. And then, okay, ismi Fauzi ya talamid, ya talamid. Okay, so you can see after, let's start from the very front area, right? So after the lips, what are being involved? Yes, teeth. Teeth. So especially the upper teeth. Okay, like when you produce thalatha, okay, so the tongue is touching the teeth. Okay, I'm telling you again, when we are talking about the production of language sounds, tongue is always involved. Like in mama, papa, okay. So the parts of speech organ being involved are lips, and then when you are saying thin or thalatha, so your tongue is touching your upper teeth. Okay. What about the lower teeth? Lower teeth are not really being involved, but when your lower teeth are gone, so the production will be disrupted, will be disturbed. The quality of your, what you call that, your production will be different then. Okay. Lips, upper lips and lower lips are involved, and then teeth, especially and then what else? Let's pay attention when you produce na 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 or da 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 da. What happened? Your tongue is touching your teeth. Your touch like thalatha? No. Your tongue is touching your alveolar ridge. What is alveolar ridge? Another word of alveolar ridge. What is the popular word for alveolar ridge? Gum. Okay, the word you call the pink one. So when you produce n, d, na, da, sa, so your tongue is touching your alveolar ridge. Let's repeat. Lips, teeth, especially upper teeth, a tongue of course, and then alveolar ridge. Let's continue. Go further back. When you are producing the word like nyanyi or jangan, okay, like in a song, jangan jangan cemburu buta, jangan jangan cemburu, like ch and j, okay, like ch and j are produced by touching the word you call that, the tongue. Which part of tongue? The front part of tongue? No. But when you produce ch and j, so you are not involving the front part of tongue, but you are involving the central part of the tongue, touching the, what you call that, the palate, the hard palate, the, what you call that, the ceiling of your mouth. Jangan, cari. Okay, so but thalatha, so you are involving the front part of the tongue, touching the teeth, and then nana, dada, you are involving the front part of the tongue, touching the alveolar ridge. But when you are producing j, you are involving the central part of the tongue, touching the, what you call that, hard palate, the ceiling of your mouth. Remember, so the song that I sang just now was in Indonesian, so it should be pronounced as jangan jangan cemburu buta, jangan jangan cemburu. That is the correct pronunciation of Indonesian language. Not jangan cemburu buta jangan. No, that is the wrong pronunciation. Okay? China is different from China. Okay? China is different from China. So when you produce China, the central part of the tongue touching the palate. But when you are producing China, what you call that, not the central part of the tongue, but a bit front, but not the front part. So it is somewhere between front and the central part of the tongue, touching the hard palate, but rather to the front, not the alveolar ridge, but alveolar ridge, between alveolar ridge and the hard palate. So China is sound in English, not in Sundanese in Indonesia. In Sundanese it is China. China is different from China. Okay. Yeah. Lips. Okay. What we are talking about are the, what you call it. Let's focus on the speech organs involved in the production of the language sounds. The lips, the tongue, of course, touching the, what you call that, the lower upper teeth, and then the alveolar ridge, and then the palate, the hard palate, the ceiling, and then there is somewhere between the, what you call that, the alveolar ridge and the palate. So it is called alveopalatal sound. So we are going to talk about alveopalatal sounds later. Okay, now let's continue. Let's come further backward. Let's produce the utterance kuku, kaki, kakekku, kaku, kaku. Okay, it's different from jangan cemburu. Okay, so when you are producing jangan cemburu, so what happened in that production is the central part of the tongue touching the hard palate. But when you produce kaki, kuku, kaki, kakekku, kaku, kaku, so you feel that the back part of your tongue is touching the back part of the roof, or the ceiling of your tongue. So it is called velum. Velum is not hard but soft. So you can say velum is soft palate. But I call it velum. So the sounds produced by involving the velum is called velar sound later. Okay. If I ask you to translate children into Indonesian, so how do you translate it? Okay. Some of you, especially the Sundanese, translate children into anak. Okay? But if you ask Javanese to translate children, they would translate it into anak, not anak. You see? Let's come to Arabic. Anak, I mean the final sound of anak is represented by kaf, but the final sound of anak is represented by letter in Arabic, say hamzah. You know it better. Okay, so I have to learn from you talking about the makhraj al-huruf later. Okay, so ak and are different. Is produced by touching the, what you call that, by moving the back part of the tongue, touching the velum. Okay, the soft palate. So it is K. But when so is produced by moving the something here which is called glottis. That is the reason why is called glottis sound later. Okay, and then what else? Oh yeah, in Indonesian language there is sound, sound. So it is a frill sound. So it is what you call that, done by what you call that, by moving the tongue vigorously. Okay, but in certain languages, like in French, there is sound, like François Mitterrand. And not only in French, in certain dialects of Malay in Sumatra, there is also the sound is also found, like in Palembang Malay, rumah baru. So it is called. It is produced by involving the what you call that, the pharynx here. Okay, the vibration of the pharynx is involving the vibrations of the what you call that, the tongue. Meanwhile, is involving the vibrations of the what you call that, the pharynx. Okay, everybody. Let me underline what we are talking about today. We are talking about the production of. So I mean, we are going to talk about the productions of language sounds. Next meeting, we will be focusing on the productions of consonants. Next meeting, we are going to focus on the production of vowels and diphthong. But as I told you before, so before we talk about before we are talking about the productions of consonants, vowels, and diphthongs, it is a must for us to understand the speech organs being involved in the productions of the language sounds. I already tried to explain to you the speech organs being involved. Let me repeat. What is speech? Speech is utterance. What is utterance? Utterance is language sounds used by a real person, human being, in a real occasion. Okay? So again and again I'm telling you, so language is only dealing with language. Speech or utterance are language sounds used by a real person in a real situation. Why real persons? So we are not talking about the sound produced by a robot. Okay? And then why real occasion? So we are talking about the sound of language when it is real. Oh yeah. So you know my number, right? My telephone number. Let's say if you ask me, if one of you ask me, Pak Fauzi, can I have your telephone number? And then my answer is okay. In Indonesian, nomor telepon saya adalah 0817 790 757. I'm sure some of you are laughing. Why? Because I didn't do that normally. Okay? Not real. So I manipulate myself. That is the reason why you laugh. And then when I also said, perhatian kepada saudara Asep dari Bogor, ditunggu majikannya di pintu depan dekat eskalator. So we are not, we are going to talk about that, but later, not because it is not really real occasion. I am telling you, what are we talking about today? So we are talking about speech sounds, that we are going to talk about the next two meetings, consonants and vowels. And then what is speech sounds? Speech sounds is language sounds. Speech sounds or utterance speech sounds or utterance are language sounds produced by human beings, the real person in real occasion. And then today we are only talking about the what you call that, the parts of speech organ being involved. And then later I will give you a task besides summarizing this video. I will ask you, I think it is better, so there will be another task besides summarizing this video. I will explain it to you later. So it is already 26 minutes. I think it is better for me to stop. We are continuing our discussions on production of speech sounds next meeting. Thank you very much for watching. Let me finish my explanation today by saying Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.